your like okay, there we go. Hey guys, it's another episode of the Entrepreneur Speaker Series, and today we bring it to you with our special guest, Elizabeth Ann Atkins, the author, and she is the founder of Two Sisters Publishing. But today is a special episode because it's Thanksgiving, guys. So happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, Elizabeth.
Oh, Rob, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you so much.
Of course. She has a phenomenal energy, guys. So if you're currently tuning in, right, and I pray and I bless you for being here, because you could have been anywhere else, but you chose to watch and tune in on this episode to listen to this phenomenal story that we got for you today. But I want to give a proper introduction and a little bit of background of why we brought Elizabeth on here today on Thanksgiving, guys. So Elizabeth is a phenomenal entrepreneur. She's actually an empowerment specialist, and she has a wonderful story to share because she's also the founder of Two Sisters Publishing, and maybe you can see it in the back. That's her actual sister, guys, in the back. It's a photo logo. We just chatted a little bit about that, but she teamed up with her sister, so it's a family. It's a family business, and Elizabeth's here to share her story about how this book came about, the lessons learned along the way, and there's going to be so much value in today. So I'm very excited, Elizabeth. So once again, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Rob, I'm delighted to be here, and I love how you introduced me. Thank you so much. And it is all about empowerment. I created our company, Two Sisters Writing and Publishing, with my sister, Catherine M. Greenspan, because we love to write. We love to tell stories. And because of our unique background, our mother is African-American and our father was white, and he was a Roman Catholic priest who left the church in the mid-60s, and they sparked this huge scandal of race and religion, and they were trailblazers. They were extremely courageous, going against the norms of society. And they instilled that in me and my sister. And we do that in business and we do that in life. And so the message is to boss up to yourself and your life. And that's why my new book, Boss Up Goddess, is all about that. It specifically addresses women entrepreneurs, but the messages help everybody.
Wow, that's incredible, and yeah, that's so unconventional. So tell us a little bit about the word, boss up. Like, how did the word boss up? You could have chosen any other word, but how did you come to boss up? Like, what does that mean to you?
Mm-hmm. So I've been working on my book, Goddess Be One, for years and years, because I had a moment where the divine voice within myself told me, in a terrible moment when I was being verbally abused, this voice said, "You are goddess." And I believe that that's really powerful energy within each of us women to overcome. And it instantly transformed me into this power and this peace. And then as I became a businesswoman, an entrepreneur, the word boss, be your own boss, boss up to yourself, boss up to the world, that just is so powerful. And so I renamed it Boss Up Goddess, meaning seize your power, step out into the world, live bigger, better, and bolder. But you have to do the work on the inside first, because what you do on the inside or don't do is going to manifest in every aspect of your life, your relationships, your business, your prosperity, your health, your wealth, everything. And So boss up means be a badass. Hope I'm allowed to say that.
Oh yeah,
it means to do the work on yourself, identify what's blocking you, habits, negative thinking, fear of failure, fear of criticism, whatever it is, work on it, blast past it, and then boss up and do your life mission. We all have a mission. And my divine life mission is to cultivate harmony within ourselves and in the world. And I do that by writing, speaking, and sharing books and teaching platforms.
Wow, so powerful. And thank you for sharing. And our audience is full of bosses. It's full of, trailblazers. So I think this is a perfect fit. But Elizabeth, I'm sure that, when you were growing up, everybody is looking for their identity, right? As we're growing up, we're mainly programmed, whether it's by our parents. You said you were instilled with courage, right? And confidence from an early age by your parents because
Yes.
they were so courageous. But what do you think that pushed you into the realm of entrepreneurship? What do you think was that moment that you realized I need to boss up? You know, instead of taking a corporate job or work for somebody else, I need to create my own venture. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. First of all, I love the freedom of deciding what I do and how I do it. I had been ghostwriting books for people for a long time. And then my sister had, at that time, 10 years of experience in financial services. So she had the business mind. I had the creativity and the experience of ghostwriting books. And then the disruption in the publishing industry where there became platforms available for anybody to publish a book by themselves. We said, why don't we put all this together and start our own company? Another thing is you get tired of chasing all the big publishers. Oh, please buy my book. Please publicize me. Please No, you can take the power yourself and publish your book yourself. And so we did that. And we are just now publishing our 27th book. And my new book is 28, coming out in January. Boss Up Goddess.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a huge milestone.
Thank you. So being an entrepreneur is not easy at all. I work pretty much from breakfast to bedtime 7 days a week. I do take my self-care, my exercise, my meditation, my spiritual practice, my healthy eating, and sleep are all imperative. But being an entrepreneur is very difficult because you're blazing a new trail. And you have to have the perseverance and the commitment during those very tough moments where you really want to give up. But if you keep going, you get rewarded. And now we're in that phase where we sort of pushed past and over all the difficulties, and we got a system down, and it's just glorious.
Wow, what a story. It's I can feel the energy resonating from this story, Elizabeth. So it sounds to me that you discovered that you had this creative ability. It's storytelling. Would you agree?
Absolutely, yes. It's my passion.
Does this relate at all to maybe some of the experiences that you had as a child through your parents? Because I'm always curious where somebody's passion, skill set, and drive comes from. So do you think that you were influenced by, growing up as a child and, being a child of two trailblazers, or where did you discover that you had that creative talent?
Thank you so much for that awesome question, Rob. So our mother went to law school when we were little. She went to law school at night and she worked all day. Our father worked all day and became Mr. Mom. He cooked dinner, he took us to piano lessons, ski lessons, etc. So we had a very unique home, and our mother was a boss. Okay, she was an absolute boss. She became chief judge of one of the biggest courts in the country, 36th District Court in Detroit. So she was a boss literally as a judge. She's retired now. And our father was a boss in that he defied the norms of the Catholic Church. That was huge. So at the same time, Catherine and I are mixed race. Our father was Native American, English, French, our mother Italian and Black. But we look white to most people. So as kids, nobody knew. But they met our family, they knew. So we never fit in. Catherine and I never fit in. And that inspired us to tell stories. In fact, Catherine wrote a 3-part young adult series called the Veronica series that starts with a story called Veronica, I Heard Your Mom is Black, because a kid asked her that. So it's out of our unique experience that we had these real life stories. And we started writing them down because our father would journal every night at the dining room table while our mother was at law school and we were doing our homework. So it's like this formula or this sort of atmosphere that birthed our passion for writing and bossing up by watching our parents do what they did, and their teamwork, family cohesion, and working toward a common big goal of our mother becoming a lawyer, then a judge, and putting us both through college herself. Now that's bossing up.
Absolutely. Yeah. What an incredible journey. So entrepreneurship, you kind of mentioned it. Entrepreneurship is incredibly challenging, right? You have to wear many hats. And you and I were just chatting about that earlier on in backstage. entrepreneurship, you have to be especially if you're starting out, you have to be able to take decisions in so many areas, right? Like in your case, your creative skill sets is writing, but starting a business, that's a whole nother ball game, right? You have to
Yes.
learn how to actually open your company entity. You have to, maybe focus on marketing, client acquisition, all those roles. So how did you deal with that when you first started out, when you first founded your company? How did you learn how to wear so many hats and make sure that you get your business off the ground?
Great question. So first, I had already built a reputation as a successful ghostwriter. So I already had written books for highly respected people. And so all of our business literally came from word of mouth referrals because of the good work I had already done. And then they also knew and respected my sister and our mother. And so that enabled us to get new clients. And then we have clients all over the country now because word of mouth is the best marketing possible, and it's absolutely free. But what it costs you is the imperative requirement to do an excellent job so that people will refer you. And so there's that, but also there's a lot of paperwork involved, like tax documents and bank accounts and all kinds of formal things that you have to get set up in your state and with the IRS in order to open a business. So there's that aspect that fortunately my sister understood all that. And then the marketing, Rob, is an absolute 48-hour-a-day job.
Yeah.
You can never do too much marketing, and that wrapping your mind around that and actually hitting your stride in the right type of marketing is something that remains elusive for lots of companies. So you have to keep trying new things. But again, the most important advertiser for you is your excellent work and your reputation and how you treat people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure that at times that things were challenging, right? Maybe you wanted to write and you find yourself that you're still too much involved with the day-to-day, mundane task of actually starting the business, right? Because at the beginning, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to get this off the ground. So how did you keep focused, Elizabeth, as you were going through that journey? And, I'm talking about back in the days where the fundamentals were not as solid as they are today. How did you keep yourself focused and still remain passionate about what you do while trying different things and chart your way forward?
Mm-hmm. Well, fortunately, because Catherine and I brought such different skill sets to the table, Catherine handled a lot of that, whereas I did a lot of the writing. And then we also, being 1 year apart and very similar in our skills, we both have a master's degree in writing, and we both were English majors at the University of Michigan. I went to Columbia and she went to University of San Francisco. We're able to literally, I would write a chapter, she would write a chapter of one of our ghostwriting clients' books. So that was pretty cool. But I would call that the biggest drawback, that what you just asked about how to balance the nuts and bolts of business with the creativity. Because when my brain is on and popping with my genius zone writing, I don't even want to get up and go take a shower or go to the bathroom. I just want to stay here and let all that creative energy explode out of my head, on the keyboard, onto the screen, into a book.
Yeah.
And so that is still something I deal with. But discipline is the key to success in business and in life, because you have to get all those other things done, or the foundation will crumble and the book doesn't matter because your foundation crumbled.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because in my organization, we teach high performance, and high performance is usually incremental growth, right? It's you don't make a you don't have an overnight success, but you're kind of stacking the rocks little by little by tackling all these little things one by one. But over time, it just becomes part of you, and that's why entrepreneurship is such a long journey, right? Nobody becomes a success overnight, but it may have taken 15, 20 years to get there. So I
Right.
always admire these stories. Now I want to touch a little bit about into storytelling, right? Because your business and your passion is, of course, all centered around storytelling.
Yes.
Now, when you write books for yourself, as your own company or for other people, um, how do you think that storytelling plays a part or a role in entrepreneurship? Let's say if you tie storytelling to a brand, how important do you think it is in 2020 to actually have a compelling story that you relate to your target audience?
I love that. So I think everybody who's an entrepreneur should read Donald Miller's Story Brand Marketing. Donald Miller's Story Brand Marketing. He has a very engaging online experience you can participate in, because stories are what sell. Stories are what engage people. Stories are what inspire us. And so sharing your story is awesome because it will, show you're real, it create the relatability. But the most important thing is the story that you're telling to your customer or client about how you're going to help them with their problem. So you have to present your issue to them. So for example, here's an example. In our marketing, we say something to the effect that you're writing a book, you're overwhelmed, you're confused, you need help, you need a guide. Well, Elizabeth is a book coach, and Elizabeth can guide you through the process in her 6-month book coaching experience, where you start with an idea and you end with a finished book. And that's the truth with one of our clients who's we're publishing her book on December 7th. She did it. So as an entrepreneur in marketing, you have to present story as something that's going to help your customer or client solve their problem.
Awesome.
So you have to understand who is your target audience, who is your target customer, and what is their problem, and how can you appeal and convince them that you can solve it for them.
That's amazing. And maybe you have some examples for the people watching, because as I mentioned before, we have a lot of entrepreneurs watching these episodes. And some people, they may have a product or a service, but they may not have a well-defined marketing strategy. They may not even have a story, and there's others who do. So in your experience, what is the impact that a story or a well-defined story, whether that's through an entire biography, right, an actual book, or just a brand story where you put your personal journey into what you currently do? What do you think is the difference with in the results of the clients that you help and in the past that have that story and others that don't?
So I think when you tell your personal story, it endears people to you. And I think people also are drawn to those who've overcome things and didn't have it so easy all the time. And so when you can share your story in a way that you can relate to, or they can relate to your struggle, because they're struggling right now and the reason they're coming to you is they need help, share it in a way that's authentic. And I think that is going to just engage them emotionally and connect with you. So they're like, oh yeah, she gets me. She's been there. She's done that. So for example, if a person has a company where they're a life coach that helps people in recovery from addiction, if that coach, that entrepreneur is in recovery, him or herself, then the client or customer is going to be like, they know what it's like to hit rock bottom, and they know what it's like to do the 12 steps. They know what I'm going through. And so that will engender trust with your customers and clients, because they know you can relate entirely. And they'll love you even more because you're succeeding at it and you have a coaching business around it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that is an instant, gives you an instant relatability by sharing your story. So Elizabeth, so 2020, right? It's almost done. We're currently at Thanksgiving and the Christmas season is around the corner. What is your big goal moving into 2021, right? Taking your Two Sisters Publishing into the next year. What what is ahead of you in terms of your business goals? What do you want to achieve?
Well, I am publishing Boss Up Goddess in January. So that's at twosisterswriting.com in our store for pre-sale right now. I'm also an interviewer. Our show that I co-host for the past 5 years, it's totally unrelated to my business, was nominated for an Emmy Award in the area of interviewing.
Wow.
Thank you. I love interviewing people. So I started on our YouTube channel, Two Sisters Writing and Publishing. I started interviewing women to boss up, who are bossing up. So I want to expand that platform on YouTube with my interview series. In addition, I have other shows there called Writer Talks, where I interview the winners of our monthly short story contests who are published in our annual anthologies, and they're from all over the world. This week I interviewed someone in Australia, Warren Paul Glover, one of our winners. And in addition to that, I have another show called Book Talks, where I interview our authors who write books to talk about their topics. And I just interviewed a TV executive who is on a mission with his best-selling book to help fight racism and sexism and bias in media. So lots of different shows. That's my passion. And they're all educational because they inspire and teach. And that's one thing I love to do. And also, I'm a book coach, so I have this 6-month book coaching experience called Write the Change, meaning write the change you wish to see in the world. And so that's been very successful this year, and I hope to expand it in 2021. And I'm also doing a book coaching mentorship program called Boss Up Goddess, Write Your Book, and it's going to include all kinds of inspiration for women entrepreneurs and women who are just looking to boss up.
Wow, it sounds that you have a lot going on, and it sounds all very, very exciting. So I think if you want to stay connected to Elizabeth, guys, then make sure and maybe at least share how, if people want to get in touch with you, right? How can they follow you? How can they find you on all those shows that you mentioned?
Thank you so much, Rob. Please go to YouTube, to the Two Sisters Writing and Publishing channel. Please subscribe and click that notification bell so you'll get notified every time I go live, which is actually every evening I go live. And I also am posting lots of new shows and interviewing people live as well. So twosisterswriting.com is our website. You can contact us there and go to the store and see all the offerings, including my new book, Boss Up Goddess, as well as my coaching programs and some of the other books we have for pre-sale. So,
beautiful. And you're saying you do a show every single evening?
Yes, I've been going live every night with Boss Up Goddess. I've been going solo because I just started this, and I'm also lined up a whole bunch of women in the coming weeks to interview, and they all have very unique messages. It's all about just all the things we've been talking about today, about how to boss up to yourself first and then boss up to the world.
Wow, incredible.
Thank you.
That's amazing. And I wanted to dive in also a little bit, because when you're speaking, right, it's one of your other passions. So when you do a show, how is that different from when you're speaking and interviewing other entrepreneurs? How is that different from actually writing a book? Because in a way, you're storytelling, right? You're storytelling. However, how for you, how is that different when you write or when you speak? What is the difference?
It's the same, Rob. It's the same. You know why? Because when you tap into your power, your passion, your purpose, when you tap into that, you tap into this divine energy that is inexplicable. And a lot of times ideas come to you, words just flow. And when I'm writing and when I'm interviewing people, the same thing happens. You don't have to prepare for it because it's your purpose, your passion, your power. It just flows. You are like tapped in. And ask any successful speaker, they'll tell you the same thing. They're like, I don't know where they came. I don't even remember what I said. But the audience was like getting chills and clapping and everything. So, and I have chills right now because it's true. When you tap into that energy, and when you practice a spiritual practice, I know that's not what this is, but that's an integral part of my experience. Meditation, eating high vibe foods, exercising, getting enough sleep, avoiding things that lower your frequency. when you heighten your vibrational frequency through connection and cleansing your space, keeping your body free of toxins, you tap into this supernatural energy. It's amazing. You kind of have to do it to believe it, because it's pretty wild sounding, but it's real.
No, we had quite a few topics on this show, because on the Entrepreneur Speaker Series, we believe at the holistic approach to success, right? It's not just one thing, but your human biology is so part, and being in tune with a greater power, whether that's through your religion or through the universal laws, right?
Yes.
So we had some amazing guests on the show that were able to dive into those topics. But I get a lot of questions, Elizabeth, from a lot of my clients and my students in our organization. How can they, because it seems that a story, especially if you haven't practiced it before, especially if you have not maybe written a book yet, and I know from experience, because I wrote a book myself, and I knew what a tremendous journey that has been. But what would you recommend if all these thoughts, right? Because you just said it just flows, right? You're being you, and it allows you to express your journey. But if you want to structure that story, how can you recommend for the people that are thinking to maybe finally put this story on paper, right? Maybe implement the lessons learned instead of this unstructured, spewing of ideas. In your experience, do you have like a framework? Is there maybe a guidance that people can give to narrow that story down, to structure it, so ultimately it will be how can I say, it will be ready in the publishing world, right? Like you have to and maybe you can elaborate. Of course, this is your space, but do you know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Because your story, whether you're just using it for your marketing purposes or if you're writing a book, which if you write a book as a business owner, that helps you totally boss up, because it amplifies your authority. It gives you more credibility as an expert. And it's just a really important credential. So in my book coaching program, I teach how to outline a book. And nobody liked outlining back in school. It was like such a big chore. But outlining is imperative, because it enables you to pull out those nuggets of what you're going to say. And it keeps you with this framework. Gives you structure of your messaging. And so what I always advocate is begin with a bang. What is the moment that you can share with people that is going to grab their attention? All the elements I described earlier about storytelling and resonating, relating. Have a story basically in your pocket that you can share in a minute that will convey what you do and how you can help people.
So you're saying start with a bang.
Yes.
Like high drama or high excitement.
Yeah, it can be good. It can be bad. It can be. So, for example, we have an author. He's a hospital executive now, but when he was 31 years old, he dropped dead of cardiac arrest.
Wow.
And he was resuscitated, and he went through this whole long, grueling process that inspired his book and inspired him to create something called the kindness scale, Dr. Herman Williams. And so he has developed the ability to tell this story very fast. And look, here was this trauma. And what came out of it is this whole teaching platform that he shares with people all across the world, And so just create it in a nutshell, but boom, it's like if you tell someone that your story is that you dropped dead and lived to tell about it, you've got their attention.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and in a way, that is how most of the scripts of all the Hollywood movies are written, right? It always starts with like a high drama, high excitement backstory. If you really pay attention, and then it follows along into the transitions into the journey. So would you say when you write books and when you outline and help and teach your students how to outline a book, you're following a similar structure?
Yes, I do. I say begin with a bang, and then what you can do is outline your chapters and just start with like very basic bullet points. bullet points that are like the main points that you want to make. And if you're writing a how-to book as a business owner, like how to open a business, you would have to put like all the things you mentioned at the beginning as each chapter. But put your personal spin, your unique vision, your energy that's unlike anybody else. That's the point of writing a book. It's yours. Oh, no one can tell your story or your information your way.
Yeah.
So another thing, Rob, is to begin with a bang, but also you have to fill in the backstory of like, how did you get to this point? So if you begin with a bang saying, I'm standing in my penthouse with my home business and I'm working on my laptop overlooking the skyline of New York City. I can't believe I'm here, but just 2 years ago, I was homeless and begging for a meal down on the sidewalk below me, literally. People are going to be like, whoa. So the next chapter has to explain, how'd you do that?
Yeah. Wow. and this is storytelling here on the spot, guys. And I'm sure that people are now wondering, Elizabeth, if they can actually hire you on maybe their tonight's Thanksgiving party to tell some more stories. I don't know if that's like a side business of yours at all, but
I love it. I love it. I actually get to tell the blessing on our family's Zoom Thanksgiving gathering today, so I'm very grateful for that.
Family Zoom, huh? That's what we call the new reality, the new normal in 2020.
Yeah, hopefully next year we'll be back to gathering around tables with dozens of relatives and giving real hugs.
Yes. So Elizabeth, we always like to do something special for the community, right? For people that are always tuning in with the show to listen to these phenomenal and empowering stories. So we already got your information and how to follow you if people want to connect. But I wanted to ask you if there is something that we can do. And I know that I may put you on the spot here, but I'm sure that you have something incredible to contribute, because this show is all about giving back to the community and supporting those with those burning questions.
Mm-hmm.
So if people have questions about storytelling and they're thinking about, starting writing their first book, or even they have a brand, but they don't have a compelling backstory. If they have questions and they want to connect with you, is there something that you could do to give them some guidance or to give them some tips or tricks in how to get started?
Absolutely. Right now?
No, I'm asking if after this show, if people want to get in touch, is there a way for you to spend some time maybe with them who want to take advantage of this?
Oh, absolutely. I think the best way to do that is go to twosisterswriting.com and contact me. You can also find me on LinkedIn and send me a message there. That might be as easy as anything. I'd be delighted. I do discovery calls. So I'd be so happy to talk with anybody who needs that impetus to get started, or a little bit of guidance, or to learn more about my book coaching program. Or if you've already written a book, we could publish it for you. So absolutely, Rob. I love helping people because writing and publishing can be so overwhelming, so confusing, so intimidating. And Catherine and I have so much experience. That's why we started a weekly video show on YouTube called 10,000 Things. Every Monday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, live, we talk about the 10,000 things you need to know to write and publish a book. That's the place to go, because we have so much fun.
That's overwhelming.
I know. It is overwhelming. That's why we called it 10,000 Things, but we've been learning them for 5 years now. So we want to share them, and it's absolutely free to listen in, watch, and hear what you need to know.
Yeah. And people are tuning in now and they say, hey, happy Thanksgiving, Elizabeth. And people are so grateful for this topic here today, because Thanksgiving is a moment of storytelling, right? The whole idea behind Thanksgiving, it came forth from a story, right? It's a day of giving thanks. So people, it seems to be a great topic that a lot of people can relate to. Now, as we're coming to a close, Elizabeth, would you be able to give us some golden advice, right? Moving in, like I said, Thanksgiving is here, Christmas is around the corner. So moving into 2020, right? For people to really amplify their stories, And we can do that nowadays in so many different ways. And you already mentioned some of those ways and how to get the story out. What would you advise to those people thinking about finally packaging their story and then leveraging that to amplify their message?
I think that amplifying your message starts with getting still and silent in the solitude of yourself to really go within and figure out what is your main message? What is your main mission? You can only know that yourself. That's in your heart and your soul. And then spend some time writing. Write it out so that you can sort of solidify, crystallize that message, and then explore which platforms do you love the most, because it's a long haul. You have to enjoy the journey. I love interviewing people. I love live video. So YouTube is my spot. If Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever other platform you love that you find that you want to stay up all night working on, do that one. Don't do everything. Do what your heart and soul and energy and passion is going to keep you fueled up to do.
Awesome.
Yeah. So go within, get quiet, write it out, and then pick your platform according to your passion and your purpose. And then rock it, boss up.
I love it. That was phenomenal. Thank you so much for sharing your time here on Thanksgiving, Elizabeth. We really appreciate you, and you have been very generous with all the advice and the value that you have brought to the show here today. So guys, there you have it. We had a phenomenal new episode of the Entrepreneur Speaker Series. And again, if you want to stay connected to Elizabeth, if you want to find out about Two Sisters Publishing, if you want to work on your own book, go and connect with Elizabeth. Have a talk. Connect with her through one of the platforms. But Elizabeth was gracious enough to make some time available. So take advantage, entrepreneurs. If you want to take advantage of this, go and connect with Elizabeth. And all that remains to say, guys, tune in with us next week, same time, same place. And for now, I wish you all a phenomenal Thanksgiving, guys. Enjoy today. Be grateful. And Elizabeth, is there one more final thing that you want to say to the audiences today?
Yes, I wish you the happiest, healthiest Thanksgiving, and may 2021 sparkle with success for all of you.
Wow.
Thank you so much, Rob. This was amazing.
Of course, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Blessed day to you and your family, and hope to see you again and bring you back on the show in the near future.
Thank you so much, Rob. Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.